Okay, great. So now that we have seen how to display a good message and then terminate the program, what if I don't want to terminate the program? What if I want to give my user a chance to correct himself? Okay, so if that is the case, then it means once you display this message, then then you don't want to terminate, right? You just want to tell the user to enter the edge again. Okay, so it means you need to put this thing inside a loop. You get my point? So you can use any loop. Okay, you can use a do while loop, you can use a while loop. Okay, now the concept here to know is that you don't know when will this loop end. You get my point? You don't know when will the user enter a value that will be something that can be converted into an integer. You get my point? So one of the approaches that people do in this particular situation, they just create an infinite loop, a loop which never ends. And then once the user gets a correct entry, once the user enters a correct value that can be converted into an integer, what they do at that particular moment, they just execute a break statement in order to terminate the loop. You get my point? So that is what most people do. That is what most programmers do. Okay, so here, for example, if I use a do while loop, I can say here do. I can say here do. Okay, so this is what I want to do up to this part. This is what I want to do. Okay, and then something like this. You see? Yeah. So it means if I am going to use edge below here, then I have to take this edge out of the do brackets. I have to take it out of these do brackets. Okay, so I'm going to put edge right here. Okay, then the condition here, you remember do while. So since this is an infinite loop, I can just write true. If I put true here, it means this loop will be infinite. It will never stop. You get my point? But in order to be able to stop it, what I will do here, if this function succeeds, it means it will not throw any exception. So at that particular moment, immediately below it, I'm going to execute break in order to what? To end my loop. Okay? Are we together, guys? So you remember I told you that return is used to terminate a function. Okay? And if you use return inside your main function, it means you are terminating not just the main function, but you are terminating the program as well, simply because the main function is the main. It is the main. Okay? So when it comes to loops, if you want to terminate a loop, you use what we call break. You use what we call break. Are we together? Yes. So break is the usual statement that is used to terminate the loop, okay, to cause the loop to stop. You get my point? So here we are saying if this function will succeed, if it will not throw a runtime error, then stop the loop. You get my point? Yeah, simple as that. And once you stop the loop, you already stored that value in the edge variable, so the program will now continue outside the body of what? Outside the body of the loop. Okay, so it means if this is your loop, outside the body of the loop is down here, so it means the program will continue downwards. You get my point? Yeah. So this is what people do. This is what people do. And as you can see, let us try. Okay, so if I enter here H, you see, it says you entered an invalid input, and then it tells me again enter your H. You see, so I can enter G. You entered an invalid input, enter your age. I can enter B. You entered an invalid input, enter your age, and so on and so on and so forth, until finally he enters 5. Okay, then it says 7 shillings. You see, Yeah, something like that. So you could use that approach. Okay, you could use that approach. So some people are saying, so sir, why did you write true here? Well, I wrote true here because I'm trying to create an infinite loop, a loop which never stops. Okay, and then I'm trying, and then I will stop it only when that function called story succeeds to convert whatever string value I had stored into what? Into an integer. You get my point? Yeah. So somebody's asking, sir, could there be no other condition to put down here? Well, for this particular case, there was no other better condition for me to put down here. That is why I had to figure out to do it this way. Okay? Yeah. And when it comes to matters of input validation, that is what programmers do. Because you can try it by yourself. You can't think of what condition to put here. What will you put? What will you put? What will you put? Okay. Try to think about it. You will discover that this is the only way out. You get my point? Yeah. For this particular scenario, this is the only way out. So this is what people do. Okay, this is what people do. So we tried to ensure correct input on the part of age. What about the part of movie type? What about ensuring correct input on the part of movie type? Head over to the next video as we discuss about that. Thank you.